Thank you. Welcome to Good News Week. And the big news? They say smoking is a health hazard. So is breathing if you're in Darwin at the moment. The top end is suffering from a choking smoke haze blown across from the huge bushfires still burning in southern Papua New Guinea and Indonesia. The good news is we've come up with a bit of a solution. Get everyone in Southeast Asia to suck. The Suharto family will show you how. Telstra exploded onto the stock market this week, delivering an immediate windfall to all investors. Telstra staff bought something like 178 million shares. I guess they'll soon be voting to sack themselves to push up the profits. John Howard says the float is a great deal for small investors like the mums and dads, not to mention the really big mothers, like AMP and the government of Singapore. And those mums and dads who bought a piece of Telstra can now sit back and relax with an Arnott's biscuit. OK, let's hear it for Athletics Australia. Come on, let's go wild. Eckhard Arbeit, the man they chose to be our new head coach, used to be a communist spy who was up to his neck in the East German drugs in sport program. Good work, lads. You know, next time, no matter how well they do in the interview, look at their CV. Police are also keen to interview Arbeit about the assassination of JFK, the invasion of Afghanistan, and whether he was driving a Fiat Uno through a Paris tunnel during a recent car crash. After the World Council of Churches labelled the federal government's WIC legislation racist and morally questionable, Queensland Liberal MP Warren Inch called on country people to boycott their churches. The good news is a church boycott has an added advantage for the government. They can declare church land terra nullius and open it up to mining and pastoral leases. The coalition has admitted they knew alleged pedophile Robert Dolly Dunn was living in Honduras for 11 months before he was caught 10 days ago. 60 Minutes refused to reveal exactly how they caught Dunn, but they would confirm it involved a cardboard box, a stick and a Sea Scout on a piece of string. But if 60 Minutes can hunt down our pedophile jet set, imagine the results if we gave Franca Arena a plane, diplomatic immunity and a tranquiliser gun. The opposition is also outraged to reports Dunn was receiving a government pension while he was on the run. But I don't see what all the hoo-ha is about. The pension wasn't a lot of money. It's barely enough to buy a couple of comics, some boiled lollies and an ice cream or two. And we'd like to send our best wishes to the Socceroos, who have a very tough game ahead. To get into the '98 World Cup finals, they have to play Iran. In Iran. Tomorrow. The rules of soccer are much stricter in Iran too. A yellow card means a public flogging during injury time. And if you get a red card, you're allowed to keep playing, but your hands are sent off. But if there is any trouble, the Socceroos could slip across the border into somewhere safe, like Afghanistan or Iraq. And that's the good news.
It's Good News Week. Someone's got to bounce away contaminating atmosphere and blackening the sky. It's Good News Week. Someone's found a way to give the rotten dead a will to live for one and never die. It's Good News
Week. Thank you. Good evening. Tonight, because it seemed like a good idea at the time, the transcendental Mikey Robbins, artistic director of this year's Festival of the Dreaming, the mystical Rhoda Roberts, and from Race Around the World, winner of the ABC's 1997 Headache of the Year Award, the quixotic John Safran. And their opponents over 29 minutes of mayhem, the gushing Julie McCrossin, the crushing Peter Berner, and the blushing Joanna Sweet. Let's slip the dogs of war. And I mean that in a nice way. Mikey, Rhoda, John, what's the story?
Oh, yes, that's some people doing some free renovations at the Prime Minister's place. And
Their children were terrorised, weren't they?
Yeah, there's a lovely shot of one of the kiddies looking out the window going, oh dear, Greenpeace people. Ooh. Hope they don't try and push Kim Beazley back out to the sea again. Hey, I'm allowed to. They bruised me last summer, the bloody hippie bastards. There's a bunch of Greenpeace kids got on our beloved Prime Minister's roof, I believe.
After lots of money had been spent on security.
And I believe that they were released from court this week.
Well, it's about the first interesting thing Greenpeace has ever done, because they're just a bunch of, like, boring old kind of marijuana smoking dull. So that was good, because that was just like, you know, blatant vandalism, meaningless violence. It was terrific.
What about when they throw themselves in front of Japanese who are trying to kill whales for scientific purposes? Don't you admire their courage? A brave man like yourself.
I'm on the harpoon side.
He's making a great start in my book.
The magistrate threw it out of court this week because he said it was basically freedom of speech and freedom of John's roof. And, they were a little bit naughty, but they really shouldn't go to jail for it.
3 points.
Thank you.
17 Greenpeace protesters who climbed up on the roof of Kirribilli House escaped conviction this week after the magistrate said they acted heroically, sincerely and with integrity. In the interests of free speech, John Howard has called his next cabinet meeting on the roof of the magistrate's house. The Prime Minister's daughter, Melanie, was in the house at the time of the raid, but John wasn't worried. He has 2 other children, and it was only the girl child.
I don't know why I'm offended, but I am.
They were just happy to get visitors for a change.
Surely, Peter, Joanna, some vigilant news for you.
A big ship,
Ugh.
not slipping into the water.
Oh, that's a neat trick.
Why in reverse parking? Enforce ceasefire.
Oh, I didn't get to read all of that.
I think this may relate to our defence forces doing something rather interesting without guns. I like to think that the mothers of the world, Joanna, and you'd be a mother yourself, have got together and said, OK, boys, and some girls, you can do your job, but no guns. The Army's going to practice reverse parking aeroplanes.
No guns. They're feeling very naked. They're over in, we think it might be Bougainville. They have sent the troops over, but they have to stand around without their guns, and they are not allowed to enforce anything with arms. So they're just standing around going, well, what are we doing?
They're going, stop it!
It's a peacekeeping force where they're sort of demonstrating what they're trying to achieve. They're being peaceful themselves. Basically, the PNG government...
The Australian, what's-her-names? The fellas in green that live at Mossman.
The army.
The army.
But isn't a bunch of men in uniform without guns a gay bar?
And the New Zealanders.
Thank you very much.
The New Zealanders and the Australians are
New
involved.
Zealanders and Australians, which is the frigate.
Is your mum watching tonight?
She might be.
They're up.
Frigate!
Can you say that just once more? Now that I've understood what you were saying.
Say frigate.
Frigate.
Oh!
3 points. The first group of civilians and unarmed troops from Australia and New Zealand flew out to Bougainville today to monitor the truce between Papua New Guinea and the Revolutionary Army rebels. But how are unarmed soldiers going to monitor a truce? They'll watch it closely. Then, when someone gets shot, they'll say, nope, that's not a truce anymore. And come home. I mean, if that is the level of skill that's required, why not make it a work for the dole scheme? Of course, the object is peace. Particularly that piece that has the big copper mine on it. The good news is the Bougainvillians much prefer Anzac troops to mercenaries. Mercenaries are fit and carry weapons. Now for a teasing glimpse of this week's strange but true clues for Robbins, Roberts and Safran. A skull and crossbones. A skip and rope.
Do you want me to demonstrate? No.
Oh, yeah, go on, can you?
Yeah, out the
Stop
front. Okay.
Can you do twosies?
Yeah. You want to join me?
I don't think...
Heels. Okay.
Yes!
Yes! We want to get someone in to reinforce the floor there.
Someone ring the earthquake centre and tell them not to worry. I know. I'm sorry, Mike.
Go on, you have a skip, Mikey. You have a skip.
that skipping's good exercise.
Okay, for Robbins, Roberts and Safran, we have a skull and crossbones,
Oh.
a skipping rope, and Alice Cooper.
John, you'd be a man who likes Alice Cooper.
No, miserable, miserable, ugly old man.
Looking forward to Christmas.
And at the McCrossin, Berner and Sweet place, we have a power cord,
With a problem?
a bouncing ball,
That has a problem?
and a helicopter.
Another?
Oh, it's one of ours.
The infant round 2 takes its first step with Good News Roulette. Rhoda, 3 headlines for you from the very fine New Weekly. Which one actually made the mag? He ran over my cat and married my mother. Or he bought me flowers and new breasts. Or he stole my heart and my brother's kidney.
No, he stole my heart and my brother's kidneys.
Do you want to think about that at all?
No,
You don't bring me
well, that...
anymore.
Could I just say, it is kidney singular. I suspect if they took both kidneys, we'd lose the brother.
I would say he bought me flowers and new breasts. No, I wouldn't say that.
I think that should be a...
No, I wouldn't say that. I reckon
that could be
New
a
Weekly.
giveaway.
He stole my heart and my brother's kidney.
That's a country and western song I've ever heard.
Well, let's have a look then. You are right. 59-year-old nurse Dorothy Zaha is suing her ex-lover, Richard McNutt,
He'd be one of the Hampshire McNuts.
claiming he stole her heart just to get her brother's kidney for a transplant. Dorothy's brother is just lucky she didn't fall in love with John Wayne Bobbitt. But isn't that just typical of the 90s? You know, you go out with a guy and he's more interested in your brother's organ than he is in yours. And as soon as McNutt got the kidney, he dumped Dot for another woman. Apparently his new girlfriend has a great set of lungs. The sad news is Dot's brother John was seriously injured when he tried to discourage further theft by scratching his initials into his remaining organs. Peter, your headlines from the Shoalhaven Independent.
Yeah.
Still only 80 cents. Bomaderry Creek Weir to be fish friendly.
Yeah.
Wandandian Toastmasters hold their own at state title. Or is it Cudmera Eyesore makes way for liquid waste plant?
Yeah, knowing Shoalhaven as well as I do, it could be any of those.
That is...
Anybody that can hold their own at a state title has my vote. Am I going with number 2?
Are you going with number 2?
No. It's rude to answer a question with a question. Am I going with number 2?
Are we going with number 2?
Yeah, go with...
Yeah.
Oh, bugger. Oh, Jesus. Oh, well...
Yep. Okay.
Three's always lucky.
3, you think?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got 2. You're going to lose 3 points if you're...
No, I didn't say that.
I think he's right, because I don't think there's a single bit of water that's been cleaned up on the coast of New South Wales.
Okay, let's see. Is Mr. Berner right?
Well, I thought it was fish-friendly to start with. I thought it was a trick. Where the hell's Bomaderry anyway?
We'll find out when they send some letters in.
Yeah, come and get me.
Yes, it is the friendly fish story. New South Wales Fisheries wants to demolish or modify weirs, like the one at Bomaderry Creek, thus increasing the available aquatic habitat and making it more fish-friendly. Other ways to make their weir fish-friendly include a giant neon sign that says, Bomaderry Creek welcomes fish.
Welcomes careful fish.
Or fish-only nights featuring Fish Power Australia going the full Moby. Bikes will give the round some much-needed credibility. John? What is the White Knight of the moral right talking about here?
May even affect the support for the Olympic Games in 2018.
The Armageddon?
As in the coming of the rapture and the Armageddon and
Yeah.
people benching and...
That could ruin the games, I guess.
Yep.
I think, I'm fine with all this whole, like, whatever you feel and stuff, but he's got a problem with men who like other men. A lot. Yes, no, I think he's complaining about the gay games.
Which we just won.
Well, we haven't had them yet, but we're going to have them.
No, but we've won the right to host them. We've just won the right to host them.
And when we do, our homosexuals are better than any other homosexuals in the world. They will win.
You are right. 2 points. Much to Fred Niles' horror, Sydney will host the 2002 Gay Games. How will we tell? Niles says he doesn't think of them as the homosexual games. He thinks of them as the sad games. Which is ironic, because the gay community doesn't think of the Festival of Light as a festival. But he's completely wrong when he says there'll be a drunken, drug-crazed orgy when the game's finished. It's actually one of the events. There'll also be special medal ceremonies inside closets for those athletes who haven't told their parents yet. And the opening ceremony and many of the events will be held at Homebush, which will be specially waxed for the occasion.
That is probably the cutest joke all year.
Joanna, to what does this fine South Australian chap refer?
Scratching her head's pretty hard at the moment.
There'd be some sort of a play itchy things, would there?
No, that's Tim May, who's the players' representative in the Cricket Players Association, and he's actually talking about the breakdown in negotiations between the ACB, Australian Cricket Board, and the Players Association with they want a big pay increase, basically. And there's a breakdown in negotiations, and even yesterday they had a press conference to say that they were... No, they didn't say frigate. No, they had a press conference.
But you did! Again!
I'm wondering how many times we can get her to say it accidentally over the course of the programme.
Oh, well, you know the gist of what I was saying.
So you were on the ball then.
Jodie, you're a sporting queen. Do you feel disturbed by a sacred game like cricket having sort of industrial disputes? Because some people are distressed.
More money for standing around and doing sod all seems like a... boring the arse off people 5 days straight.
It's 5 days on the couch drinking beer, that's what cricket is. And no one's taking that away from me!
I'm going to give you 2 points. Australian cricket is bracing itself for a strike by senior players, possibly on December the 4th, the date of the first one-day match of the summer against South Africa.
Those swine.
The Australian players were going to strike during a New Zealand game, but called it off because there was a real possibility we'd still win. And honestly, it'd have to be a strike, you know, because if they stage a go slow, no one will notice the difference. The good news is a picket line won't be that different from the cricket. They both involve people waving sticks around and walking back and forth a lot. If they could incorporate a wicket in the picket, they could forget about the cricket. Robbins agitators on 7 points, yes, ladies and gentlemen. The McCrossin mutineers on 5 points. And we never point out failure on this show, but of course tonight we will. That 2-point down there is, is because of Peter.
Who has a book out?
Greg Evans' memorial round of perfect match for round 3. Teams, we're looking for that special someone for Mr. Bob Dylan. Is it Keith Richards, Jane Fonda, or Jeff Buckley?
Wake up, Jeff!
Jeff Buckley had a very tough...
Oh, no, wait a second.
Hang on a minute.
What?
I'm going to go, because they're losing, because of Berner, I'm going to throw it over to Julie's team first. Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'm pleased you did that because I've got some strong views about this. I initially thought, of course, it was about health because Jane Fonda is a health fanatic. Keith Richards, unbelievably committed to health. Demonstrating it again. And, of course, this Buckley chap, whoever he is, looks tremendously healthy wrapped in that bag. But it is actually, I want to say, as a middle-aged woman well into her 40s, is as radical as she ever was. I'm sad to say, I think it's a Jane Fonda-Bob Dylan link.
Because Jane Fonda has gone back on Tuesday, a bit of a mad activist,
sold out.
and she has she's decided that she Yeah, wishes that
She
she
wasn't
hadn't
a
done
mad
that. and
activist. She was
saw
the
that now.
conscience of America.
She was a bloody communist woman. She went to Saigon.
Bob Dylan has also said that he wishes that he thinks the 60s are a load of baloney and that he wishes that he wasn't a big
That's because he is 60.
So these two have both reneged on their former commitments to profound social change in the 90s, and this is a very sad thing. And they sadly
Unlike
submitted
Keith, who has maintained the rage.
Actually, no.
Anything from your team?
I reckon Bob Dylan did stuff with the Pope recently, and you know, a performance.
Yeah.
And so that's close to heaven. And Jeff Buckley, unfortunately, he's close to heaven
on.
too.
Has bobbed up, yeah.
So that's perfect match connection.
Of course, Keith Richards is a tremendously good singer.
Could it be that Jane Fonda and Bob Dylan both have aerobics videos out? Hey, Mr. Tambourine, turns on for me.
OK, I'm going to give you 3 points for giving me the right answer, and you 1 point for that fantastic aerobics thing. And it is Jane Fonda. There we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh.
Look at that beautiful graphic.
Oh, they're both men.
And it is indeed all about reformed radicals of the 1960s. In a rare interview in the London Times this week, Bob Dylan said he doesn't really care about the 60s and doesn't even regard himself as a protest singer. How can he say this, you know, when he spent the entire decade alerting the world to social evils? His voice, his guitar playing, his harmonica. Apparently Dylan's revolutionary classic, The Times They Are A-Changing, was a misprint. The word not was missing from the label.
I thought it was not the times they are a-changing. Or the times they are a-changing. Not.
I'm a little worried that our younger member of the audience may not be aware who Bob Dylan is.
I have read occasionally, like books and stuff.
Sorry, I thought you were a filmmaker.
Remember how we started talking about Bob Dylan a while ago? We're going to go back to that right now. So, I Shall Be Released was about Bob's determination to overcome his natural disabilities and get a recording contract. And Blowing in the Wind was actually a song about the dangers of self-abuse in public. Which pretty much sums up Bob's career. No, I love him, you know. I love
It's
him.
too cruel. I know he's sold out, but I still like the
He never
guy.
bought in, babe. He never bought in. The Primeval Robinses are on 8 points.
Yes.
While the Antediluvian McCrossins are on 9 points. Almost there, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God. Mikey, Rhoda, John, your strange but true clues were the skull and crossbones.
Who are?
Skipping... You have no shame. Skipping rope. And Alice Cooper.
Don, you're a tremendously expressive man.
I did want to put the black eyeliner on, but I said...
Before I pick this thing up again, it isn't real, is it? It's
Oh,
plastic.
that's right. We're used to getting these back from museums. Eventually. Eventually.
Make a nice brooch.
Belt buckle. That's where you should have it, Mikey. And that's going to be available at all ABC stores.
It's actually, this is a poison sign. It's a very elaborate bloody poison sign. You put this over a bottle of meth, no kid's going to drink it.
OK, and skipping rope. Boxers use them.
Yes.
But I don't think it's about that. And kids in playgrounds use them.
And the schools out indicates
And
kiddies.
schools.
They're bludgeoning. They're
Bludgeoning children.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of kids in South America who wanted to bludge off school. And, you know, the normal thing is you only play little pranks on teachers and stuff like that. Yeah, thumbtack on the seat.
Glad wrap across the toilet seat and...
Yeah.
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 Don't try that at home.
They poisoned her. Oops! Would the boy who poisoned the maths teacher please come to my staff room? There are a bunch of rather naughty children in South America wanted to get some time off school, so they poisoned their teacher.
Where does Alice Cooper come in?
School's out.
Out forever,
Are
rebellion.
you honestly saying you never poisoned a teacher at school?
See, John, I grew up in Newcastle. We shot him.
Good on you, 4 points. Four 9-year-old schoolgirls in Uruguay tried to kill their headmistress with a poisoned pastry because they thought a tragic death would mean they'd be sent home earlier.
Cool.
It wasn't much of a plan. To get home early, kill the only person with the authority to send them home early.
They should have killed the vice principal.
Yes. Good. But her survival was pure chance. She didn't eat the pastry because she was saving it for after Year 7's Garibaldi salami sandwich. Julie, Peter, Joanna, your story depends upon the power cord, bouncing ball, and helicopter.
Can anyone else remember going to the movies and these used to bounce along and used to sing a song?
It's on the Sorbonne ad.
Where else do we see that happening in the 90s? Where do we see that happening? That, of course, being my heart rate in hospital.
Karaoke bars. And I only know because I had a very bad experience at one in Fiji recently.
Oh, tell us about it. Did it involve a frigate?
What did you have to sing, Joe?
I really don't remember. I think I was doing backup though.
Hey?
Backup singing.
Oh, okay.
Anyhow, back to the karaoke. This little thing gives it away because, you know, talking of movies, another movie where it starts off with a great opening sequence, helicopter. In Vietnam.
Milo and Otis, yeah.
Well, we think it's set in Vietnam. We think it's set in a karaoke bar.
And there's an electrical fault in a third world country, and
it's more tragic than my karaoke effort because the person got electrocuted while singing the song and died.
Actually?
I died.
He was singing The Boys Light Up at the time.
Is that it?
Paul, can I correct them? 4 people in Vietnam have been killed because someone's selling dodgy second-hand karaoke machines. There's a spate of karaoke-connected killings, and not... Yes, and not soon enough, say I.
I've got to admit, you were right.
Yes.
But he was a little bit righter.
Thanks for the support.
Still, you are right. Just go, you know, there, yeah, everyone's right. Sort of. Yes, I get it right. Yes. At least 4 people in Vietnam have died recently after being electrocuted by bad wiring in second-hand karaoke machines. Now, we all know karaoke singers murder songs, but now it seems the songs are fighting back. But there is good news as well. American prison authorities are thinking of using killer karaoke to replace the electric chair. Yeah, just because it's an execution doesn't mean it can't be fun. Mikey Robbins, Rhoda Roberts and John Safran scored an a cappella 12 points. Singing a happy song over Julie McCrossin, Peter Berner and Joanna Sweet on a tone-deaf 11 points.
I mean, if I didn't have a book coming out, I'd be really upset.
So we say can the Socceroos and leave you with the good news that Robert Dolly Dunn's appearance on 60 Minutes rated so well, Channel 9 is now planning a series of real-life crime-busting shows. Stay tuned for Jail of the Century, This Is Your Life Sentence and Didn't Get Away, where a pack of ferocious deados chase wanted criminals to exotic holiday destinations.